All right. Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Haley. I am a bookseller here at the Novel Neighbor. We are a women-owned and independently operated bookstore located in St. Louis, Missouri. So I'm very excited to introduce you guys to the next hour that we have in store. Very excited. So before I introduce our authors tonight, I want to run through some of like the plans for the evening. So like a little bit of housekeeping. So our authors will join me in just a second to celebrate the release of So Let Them Burn by Kamilah Cole, which released yesterday. At the end of the event, we're going to have a audience Q&A. So while they are in their talks, as you will, you can, in the comment section of whatever platform you're viewing this on, you can ask your questions throughout. And then about like 3/4 of the way through the event, I will hop back up on here and go through those questions and moderate a Q&A. So that's like a little bit enough of me. And let me introduce our featured author of the night. So Kamilah Cole was a writer and entertainment editor at Bustle for 4 years, and her nonfiction work has also appeared in Marie Claire and 17. A graduate of New York University, Kamilah lives on the East Coast, where she's usually playing Kingdom Hearts for the 100th time, quoting early SpongeBob SquarePants episodes, or crying her way through Zuko's redemption arc in Avatar: The Last Airbender. Tonight, Kamilah will be in conversation with Chloe Gong and Aiden Thomas. So a little bit about them. Chloe Gong is the #1 New York Times bestselling author of the critically acclaimed Secret Shanghai novels, as well as the Flesh and False Gods trilogy. Her books have been published in over 20 countries and have been featured in the New York Times, People, Cosmopolitan, and more. She was named one of Forbes 30 Under 30 for 2024. Chloe graduated from the University of Pennsylvania with a degree in English and International Relations. Born in Shanghai and raised in Auckland, New Zealand, she's now located in New York City, pretending to be a real adult. Aiden Thomas is a trans Latinx New York Times bestselling author with an MFA in creative writing from Mills College. Originally from Oakland, California, they now make their home in Portland, Oregon. Aiden is notorious for not being able to guess the endings of books and movies and organizes their bookshelves by color. Their books include Cemetery Boys and Lost in the Neverwoods. All right, so let me add our authors in here. So everyone, welcome our authors.
Yay! Okay, really quick, can I just say that I appreciate that we have the same kind of energies in our bios, because I feel like when I do an event, it's usually everyone's like, blah, blah, here's all the fancy things, and then it's like, there's Aiden.
Sometimes the funny lines that you intend to get laughs aren't actually funny because everyone else has such serious bios, and you're like, oh, that's
No, as soon as they read yours, Chloe, and it was like trying to be like a serious adult, I was like, damn, I should have put that in mine because I'm still trying.
I originally had that line paired with recent graduate, and it was really painful taking the recent out this year. I was like, more, I can't justify this line anymore, but I am going to milk it for what it's worth.
There's nothing recent about this. I'm glad
it really isn't. Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you all for joining us. We are here today to celebrate the wonderful, the esteemed Kamilah Cole, and I am so excited. We have I've put her book with Aiden. It kind of looks like there's a person sitting behind me. Don't get jump scared.
No one can see that it looks like a person.
It makes me happy. Yeah.
Would Faren or Alara wear Cemetery's Boys much?
Both Faren and Alara would wear Cemetery Boys sweatshirt because Cemetery Boys is one of the best books.
Oh my god!
Important question.
I'm like, my books are all behind me, but I wanted to bring this up because I have the arc because I'm in a snowstorm, so the hard copy hasn't come yet. But Chloe, before we get started, how quickly, like when you started reading this, you were like, oh, okay, so this book's going to be a big deal.
Quick.
So
I'm so glad you asked that. Sometimes you can feel a book is going to be good. Yeah. And Aiden, you probably get this too because we are asked to blurb quite a lot. And
I do 2 to 3 a month. So yeah.
Right. And it's like you can feel when something is like you get a bit in and you're like, I can understand like the audience for this. Sometimes you're like 1 page in, you're like, oh my God, this is good. And that was So Let Them Burn.
Yeah, I've got like, it's kind of hard to see, but I'm someone who dog ears. And so I got all these like dog ears from where I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I started reading it and I was on tour in, where was I? France?
You were in Spain. You were in Spain. Yeah.
And so it was like my buddy.
What was your tour schedule?
It was wild.
It's because I DM'd them and I was like, hey, like, I'd really love it if you read my book. And Aiden was like, no one asked me to read your book. Like, send it to me. I'm leaving for Spain in like 3 days. And I was like, you don't have to.
Literally. It like showed up like 2 days before I left. And I was like, thank God.
I was like, you don't have to do this. And they were like, send it to me right now.
I was like, give it, we'll see what I can do. And yeah, I was just, it's so exciting when this happens because it happens so rarely.
Yes.
Where I was like reading a book and I was like, oh, this is a good book. And I was like, oh, this is a book for me. And then I was like, okay, so this is going to be a big deal.
Oh, yeah. You can feel it. You absolutely can.
Yeah, totally.
I would like to log off now.
No, me and Chloe will finish that.
Okay. Well, getting into the questions so that you can be a professional and not just, you know,
right
in the corner. Let's start by talking about your publishing journey, you know, for the viewers who just want a bit of insight into how your debut novel came to be. Was this your first book? I know the answer to this, but I'm asking. Was this your first book, or when did the seeds emerge?
This is not my first book because I have been trying to get published since I was very young. And when I say I was trying to get published, I mean, I would write query letters and I would like research agents and I would never write. Like the books were never done. So I have so many query letters for books that I never finished. I didn't finish a book until I was like 27 for Nano. And then I was like, well, that was a fluke. Let me try it again. And I did that twice more. And then 2018 rolled around and, you know, I had a bunch of disparate pieces for what would become So Let Them Burn, like The Giant Metal Dragons from Have Mercy by Jada Jones and Danny Bennett, and Pacific Rim, which made me think that like giant metal things fighting like giant, like biological things would be really cool. And then I had the town name of Dead Egg because there's a dead dragon egg in the center of the town. But nothing was coming together until I saw Joan of Arc on Zendaya. Like she came dressed away. She looked amazing.
It was truly an outfit for the ages.
It was like, I really love it because it was so iconic that even now that it's 2024, I say Zendaya's Met Gala outfit and everyone knows exactly which one I'm talking about. Like that's her impact, her legendary impact. And I've always loved the story of Joan of Arc, but when I saw Zendaya, I was like, Joan of Arc could be Black? Actually, the story makes a lot more sense.
Like, hold on.
The dots, you're connecting.
And then somebody, it's the Twitter person, so I'm sorry about this name, but Boss Logic did a manipulation of Zendaya standing on the head of a dragon holding swords.
Oh my God.
Yes, I will absolutely tweet that out again after this event.
Yeah.
So cool. And I was like, it's all together now. So Let Them Burn was the fourth book I ever finished, but it was the first book I ever revised because that's what they don't tell you guys.
I feel that.
You can write the book, but you have to edit the book before anybody else can see it.
Read it so many times.
I've never done that before in my entire life. I just be like, I'm done and walk away. The revision process took me 2 years. I read so many books. I read Susan Dennard's like for writers.
Oh my God, yeah.
The one-page synopsis Susan Dennard has on her website, godsend.
Exactly. Like she's made a generation of writers better at writing. I love her so much. 2 years, 39 drafts. And then I just
that number literally like I hear that and I'm like, oh my God.
I'm gonna throw up a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, I was doing it and I definitely threw it up a little bit. And then I just kind of threw out a query. I entered PitMad, which for the general audience is a Twitter pitching contest where you somehow manage to distill your book down to like a 1-line pitch that fits in a tweet and you hope
you did it amazingly.
Oh,
I remember when you did it.
Oh, thank you. I tried my best. And we were talking about this earlier, but it's also worth noting that I did all of this in like relative secrecy. I told no one that I was doing any of this except for 2 friends who were in my writing group. And so when I yeeted it out, I was like, I'll probably fail at this, but you know what? No one knows that I did it, so it's fine. And then here I am.
And now we all know.
We all know, you all know that I did this and I haven't failed yet, I hope.
Not even close.
Literally.
So one of the things that first jumped out at me when I was reading the book, and I was like, oh, this is different, is that So Let Them Burn like is decisively set after a war. When so many other high fantasy narratives focus on the war itself. And that was a really unique thing to me. So can you tell me like what kind of led to that decision and why you were like, this is the route instead of this really like commonly walked one?
Oh, for sure. So there were like two things. The first thing was that when I was thinking about the Legend of Joan of Arc, I was really thinking about how she died when she was 19. Her entire journey, like the part that made her a saint, took place from when she was 13 to 19. So she never left her teens. Like that's basically YA material right there. And the first like seed of the story for me was like, what if she didn't die at 19? What if she lived to see the end of the war? Maybe she's still hearing the voices of the gods in her head, but there's no war and there's no purpose for her. So it was just my take. I was like, everybody knows the story of Joan of Arc, but nobody really stops to think about like, what if she had grown up? Not that Faren is grown up, but that was part of why I said it. And then the other reason is because around that time, I had just read Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor.
Oh,
I love
that book haunted me. It was beautiful. It's about this, or for the people in the audience, an orphan named Laszlo Strange, who, there was this massive war with these godlike creatures and everyone's like haunted and broken and there's trauma and this lovely like dream-based romance. And like, I don't know, I read that book and I was like, you know what? I think a more interesting story for me is not how do we fight back against our oppressors, but how we heal from having been oppressed. Because I feel like that is a stage that we are all in through generations from our parents who were, forced to flee or had to move or like whatever, to us to these days, which like we don't know as much about our roots. Like our family names might be a little different than they would have been otherwise, or like we just, like so much of our culture is broken and like fused back together in like not a bad way, but in a different way than would have been the natural flow of time. So I was like really interested in kind of figuring out for myself how I reconcile those things and how we can all heal from them.
Your brain, because like honestly, that is such a huge task, like a monumental task.
It was really hard.
Off is like this. It's art.
39 drafts.
You guys, you know the viral Twitter like format where it's like, you were 19, you should have been at the club. Like you that for Joan
You're out there.
Really deep impact.
Yes, she was 19. She should have been at the club. Oh my gosh.
Speaking of characters that should really be at the club instead. So Let Them Burn is split between Faren and Alara, right? What was it that, how did you go about the process of making it this dual POV story? Has it always been this way? Did one come easier to you? Did one come in later? Like, talk us through
especially after 39 drafts. I'm very
actually so much changed.
My story is nothing like it was when I first started it. Like, for example, it was originally called A Halo of Stars and Embers. What does that mean? Don't ask me.
You said, let me spin the title wheel.
Fantasy book. blank. So it went through a lot of changes. But originally the story was just Faren's story because it was just Joan of Arc. And she had other people in her life. I was talking about this last night, but like Reeve originally had a POV, but his name was Gael at the time. And like, that's really funny if you've read the book. And Faren had a friend and she had a POV. Faren's friend was named Darcy. And like, so Gael was the head of the Langley Empire's actual son, and then Darcy was his ward who switched sides during the war. And I was like, I don't need these two characters that can be one. Like, it's about the setting, you know?
That's just one dude.
And then I was like, you know, Alara was there. She came up because I was like, there is no way a minority parent would let their child just be like, I hear voices, I have to go to war.
I feel like you go to your room right now, actually.
They would be like, that's nice, go to your room. Like, so I came up with Alara. She was in her late 20s, and I was like, you know, they sent Alara with her to be a guardian and take care of her. And that worked for a few drafts. And then I was like, no minority parents would let of their kids, no matter their age, just go to war. So then I aged Alara down, and I was like, yeah, they just snuck out in the middle of the night, and their parents had no idea where they were, and they couldn't go after them because no phones. And
even if it was the queen, the parents would be like, it's not happening, I'm sorry.
They would be like, you are like 5 years old, shut up and go to the palace. Like, it's not going down. And when I aged Alara down, I tried writing from her POV, and it just flowed because I have eldest child trauma.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
I liked her so much.
I had so much eldest child trauma, and so Alara's POV came a lot easier because Faren's POV is just like, what's the worst thing you could possibly do at this time?
Which is really a fun character. Like, let's
like the plot happened. And so yeah, once it was about the two sisters, I realized that like this was my story. Like before I was telling Joan's story, but this was my story.
Oh, that's a really good way to put it. Oh, that's quotable. People in the audience, you need a tweet that right now.
Someone put that on an inspirational poster.
Yeah.
This is a question that's always one of my personal favorites because I feel like it shows a lot about the author. But which character did you relate to the most? Like, I know you just said that Alara was like the easiest, right? But I would also like to know who was the hardest.
I relate to Alara the most, and that kind of made her the hardest. Because, you know, she is a person who's not just built of eldest child trauma. She needed a plot. So her plot, I think, was the hardest to figure out because I knew what Faren was doing, which was like, you're at a crossroads and this is the good way and this is the bad way. And Faren always goes right. But Alara, she like has morals and a lot of guilt. So figuring out what she should be doing in the background of what Faren was doing actually turned out to be really, really hard. And also like figuring out how to balance like how much of the dragon school is too much of the dragon school versus like how much of her sympathizing with, you know, some of the students is too much of her sympathizing with some of the students. Like her story like ballooned up and then it got cut down and then it ballooned up again. So it was just really hard to get like, I'm really bad at like middles.
Oh, are we all? Like, no.
Are we all truly?
I do like
20 to 30,000 word and it's the worst thing that's ever happened.
In the middle, just TK. I'm like, I'll fill this in later.
Yes, exactly. I was like, I had a really strong start. She like bonded with the dragon, and everybody's like, oh, she bonded with the dragon. And then I had a really strong ending, and then I was like, what do you mean this?
Fun and games business.
So yeah, because I related to Alara so much, her story was like a lot different because like it was very important that she's not me. Yeah. She did not make choices that are just choices that I would make. Yeah, I think she was really hard. Faren, paradoxically, because I do not relate to her at all. Well, my younger self, she is a lot like my younger self, where we were very reckless and only focused on things that we wanted, and also were traumatized. She was easier to write because like she's just chaotic, and the chaotic characters are always fun to follow.
Oh my god, yeah.
And I also feel like that's really nice in YA. Like so often we forget that this age category is actually supposed to serve teenagers. Like they should actually see themselves on the page. And so often adults are like, well, I didn't like that they were impulsive. And teenagers are like, well, I do.
Yeah. Like, I feel like as a teenager, like, it's very important to be cringe, but like, you won't embrace your cringe until further into your adulthood.
You
but
won't
like,
understand it's great.
you won't understand like what you were doing was actually really cool and really good until much later. You need to embrace the cringe while you are young. And I feel like both Alara and Faren, like, they're super cringy people, but I love them. Very age appropriately cringy people.
Okay, well, you know, still talking about Faren and Alara in a way, Sisterhood is such a core beating heart of this book. So talk to us a little about, you know, was this something you went in very intentional about? Like, did you want it to center sisterhood and love and all of these sort of components and make it that, like, I guess beating heart is the best way to put it. It is the fuel behind the other subplots as well.
Yeah, I think that the second that I realized that the POV characters were going to be two sisters, it just became really important to me to make their story the center of the book and the thing that drives the book, because I am a person, like, I have a little sister. I'm the eldest sister. I think I already mentioned that. And I love her so much. She is my best friend and my worst enemy. Like, I would die for her, and then sometimes I would punch her in the face. Like, the sibling bond, even no matter how close you are, is such a complicated thing, because I feel that your sibling, whether older or younger, is like a metric of who you want to be and everything also that you're not. Like, you, especially when you're closer in age, you kind of define yourself by your sibling. Like, if they're the smart one, you're like, well, I can't be the smart one now. I have to be like the hot one.
Done.
Oh my God. And so on and so forth. So when it came to Faren and Alara, I really wanted to illustrate the fact that, like, they love each other so much. Like, yes, they have their resentments. You know, Faren resents that Alara is basically so beloved and so responsible, and Alara resents that Faren is a literal celebrity whose shadow she can never escape. But when the chips are down at the end of the day, they trust each other, they love each other. And I hope that really came across, because that, like, I would say that it was one of at least 3 pillars of the story that I was trying to tell, which is that, you know, I love heroes, you know, those nice people who are like, I'm going to save the world because it's the right thing to do. But for me personally, if it's between the world and my sister, y'all are going to die. Like, I'm sorry. I will burn it down, and I will use that fire to keep my little sister warm. And I am not going to be shamed for that.
Here we go.
So let them burn.
I love that. And I think you're kind of getting to the point of the next question, which is, if readers could take one thing away from So Let Them Burn, what would you want it to be?
What I would like you guys to take away from So Let Them Burn is that imperialism is bad. It hurts everyone. It hurts the countries that are being taken over, and it also hurts the country that is doing the taking over. Like, imperialism only benefits like 5 billionaires, and the rest of us are just suffering. We have lost so many cultures. We have lost so many resources. So many animals went endangered, and then it extinct because people thought that the world was something to possess and not something to adore. And I just think that if you read my book and get to the end, you need to understand imperialism is bad. I will die on this hill. And love yourself. I don't know.
I like how you just like
that's the tagline.
P.S. Love yourself.
Yeah, that is the tagline of the book now, actually.
Yeah.
P.S. Love yourself.
Yeah. I love that. That is actually what core themes should be.
Yeah.
Yes.
At the billionaires who should do some more books.
Please, God.
Please, guys. We're begging. On our dying planet, we're really begging.
Really begging.
Okay. Are there any sources of inspiration? Sorry, my fake American accent tried to kick in there, and I.
No, but Chloe's accent is going more and more the longer that you are here.
I'm basically American now, guys.
You're like, not to brag, but
It's
very easily.
Okay. Are there any sources of inspiration that you felt really fueled your writing journey? Like you mentioned Pacific Rim. Were there other movies, other books, other inspiration points other than, Zendaya, which
Yeah, that's a big one.
Well, first of all, this is not a So Let Them Burn tour. This is a Pacific Rim tour. I need you all to go and watch Pacific Rim if you haven't watched.
It means so much to me. Sorry, really
no, I get it. That movie is literally part of my personality. I love it so much. I could literally turn this conversation.
I don't understand how we haven't talked about this. So we'll
talk about it. I'll text you tomorrow. We'll talk about it.
Set up a Zoom link.
Pacific Rim Zoom link. But okay, I'm professional. So the things that inspired me were, it was a lot of different things. I think one of my main inspirations were Legendborn by Tracy Deonn, which came.
Oh my god, yeah.
I love that book.
I love Tracy Deonn.
But yeah, it came along at a time when I was starting to get like super burned out on fantasy, and because it's all I read, and I read Legendborn and I realized that I was not burned out on fantasy. I was burned out on not seeing myself reflected in the fantasies that I was reading, because what Tracy did and how she incorporated, Bree's blackness as an important and inherent part of her journey through the book without it being like, quote unquote, an issue. Sorry, I'm just like so sick of hearing that when it comes to books that are like about identity.
Yeah.
The way they make our identities, our identities are inherently political, but that doesn't make our books issue. I'm on a tangent.
Yes, on a tangent. I'm sure we have a lot to say.
Yeah, I have so much to say. But I was tired of not seeing myself reflected in the fantasy that I was reading. So I almost gave up on the genre entirely, if not for Legendborn. So that was a huge, huge influence. Pacific Rim, Zendaya, Have Mercy. And then also, like I said, Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor, and how she really, really acknowledged like the after effects of war and how that lives in you for the rest of your life. And then, of course, my culture. Jamaica is the place where I was born. It is this beautiful, beautiful land of like greenery and sun, but it's also like I didn't know that for the longest time, because when you see a commercial that's like, come to Jamaica and feel, I'd never been there. Like my grandmother was in like a stone house that like had chickens and goats everywhere, and like I was like, what Jamaica are you guys going to? Because we were raised in the country. So it was also like being inspired by my Jamaican culture felt really, really good, because I had felt so separated from it when I was writing this book, and getting to put it into So Let Them Burn was just me reminding myself of all the things that I love about being Jamaican and about my island. And so I hope that, all readers, but especially Caribbean readers, can see the love letter that it is to the place that made me.
I think that's very loud and clear. So don't worry about that.
Good to know.
So here's a fun one for debuts. What was like the most surprising part about like being a debut, but also kind of the publishing process? We already talked about how many times you have to read it, which is are there others?
For me, the most surprising part is that people that I read and admired, who inspired me, speak to me like I am also cool.
You know what happens?
It is very strange.
Yeah. I feel like someone needs to hold you down and like whack into you, like, you are cool. Get it in your head.
People that I read, like Tara Sam, Tracy Dion, Adrian Tooley, you guys
Yeah.
read my book. And my book.
Yeah.
And I am like, no. I read your book and I like your book. It's just like a very weird feeling. I guess like most authors aren't famous the way that like Hollywood celebrities are famous, but like you're in the book community, you're like, I love them so much. And you have like a parasocial relationship with your favorite author and like they don't know about it, but like in your head you think you'd be best friends. So
I'm like,
Yeah.
when you get a book published and they start talking to you like you like are also somebody with a book published, which is a fact but also isn't, I find that very surprising.
For me, I'm just gonna throw this out there because Chloe is in the room and Chloe was there when this happened to me. So Chloe and I are 2020s, so we debuted. We didn't get to meet anybody for 2.5 years or something.
Yeah, we were inside for a long time.
Yeah, so it's like we existed in this world where it's like, yeah, it's happening, but it's just on my computer screen. Like technically it doesn't really seem real. And I remember being so anxious to go to one of my first book events. And one of my first book events was Y'all Fest. Yeah, Y'all Fest, right?
Y'all Fest
That was one that you rolled into super late, right, Chloe? And you were like, oh, you know what day it is.
That was also my first festival because I think that was the first major one to come back.
Yes. So it's like we were at the like author dinner or thing or whatever, and I suddenly just kind of like looked around and I was like, holy shit, I'm surrounded by all these authors that I really admire. And the veil comes down because what you like realize pretty quickly is that like, oh, we were all the biggest book nerd at our schools. So it's like whatever kind of like hierarchy we create within the world of publishing, whatever. But when it comes down to it, in the world, like we're just the book nerds, you know? Yeah. So it's like we're not that scary. We're actually just excited about stories and to meet people.
It's such a crazy moment too, because I think especially if you've been reading these authors for a long time, they become larger than life. Like it was that exact same festival where I met Tahara Mafi for the first time.
Oh yeah. Oh, I was
how did you know?
I go up to her and I was like, hi. And I think we made like casual conversation for maybe 5 minutes. And then I just looked her in the face and I went, I ran a Tumblr for Aaron Warner for 5 years. And she was like, wow.
Oh my God.
And I was like, okay.
You know what? This makes me feel so much better because I am like, they are all going to realize that I am psychotic.
We're all nuts for each other. And it's great. I love it.
So also at Y'all Fest, that was the first time I'd ever met Angie Thomas. And the whole event, I was actually hiding from her. I was like, I'm not ready. I was like, I'm not good. I'm just gonna. So I like kind of like avoided her the whole time. And then at one point I was walking to an event and she was walking to an event and we were crossing paths and she had Colby. And I like I was such a fucking weirdo about it. I'm sorry. I like stepped in front of her and I was like, hi, I'm sorry. Oh my God, look, it's Colby. Hi. I just wanted to say that I really like your books and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I'm Aiden Thomas, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, oh, hi, Aiden. I read your book. I loved it. It was really nice to meet you. And then like kept walking and I like peed my pants. Like it was the most stressful, most incredible thing that's ever happened to me. But just like it's weird.
Was that the festival where Angie Thomas had a camera crew with her? Or was that Y'all West later? Okay, there was one fest where I paneled with her. She sat down next to me and she went, hi. I was like, hi. Breathless.
Yeah.
No, I can beat both of y'all. So I went to Y'all Fest not last year, but the year before.
Yes.
I don't know what time is. And I met Daniel Jose Older there. And
so cool.
I've been a fan of his for such a long time. So I was like, you're Daniel Jose Older. Oh my God, you're so cool. I love your books. Oh my God. And then I was walking with my friend because she was taking me to the like author lounge. Doesn't matter. And I was like, that was Daniel Jose Older. Like, I love him so much. Like, his books changed my life, and he's just amazing. He was still behind me.
That's so funny.
I would have like passed out probably. Like,
My soul.
That's so funny.
He's really cool.
I'm so embarrassed about it. But he was really nice about it. But I was just like, I'm going to die. So yeah, that's been the most surprising part. And the most surprising part of publishing is just like, I went into this expecting nothing. Because that seems safe, you know. Yeah. I was prepared to do all of my own marketing. I was prepared to pitch myself. And then my team did a lot. They did a lot. So that was really surprising for me, just because I know it like doesn't really happen. Especially for debuts, and especially now that like everything is getting like dialed back and everything. So I was really surprised by how willing my team was to go the extra mile for me and to work with me. I think they're just some incredible people here and in the US, and I just want to take a moment to make space for them, because they were all super passionate about my book and made me feel like I wasn't a nuisance, and that's really hard for me and my imposter syndrome. So yeah.
Oh my God, the difference a good publishing team makes. Like, oh my God, I love my publishing team so much. They take such good care of me. I am constantly singing their praises. It really makes a world of difference for Chloe.
I literally sent them cookies.
We have a shared debut experience. One of your publicists, Cassie Malmo, was publicist. Literally a dream. Like the best publicist in the world. Okay.
She's literally right now and still pushing me for stuff.
Like, it was just, my debut year, like, COVID made it horrific and horrible, but the publishing team, like, the publicists putting in, like, such wonderful explanations of, like, here's what you have to do, like, here's what we're pitching you for, here are some questions that they'd like you to answer, like, just made it so smooth and wonderful, you know? Like, they're truly the light.
Yeah. I think truly can't stress enough how I was just a guy who got a publishing deal. I knew nothing about publishing. I was writing fan fiction and doing online role playing, and I tricked someone to publish my fan fiction. That's how I got a book deal. And so,
I feel you.
Yeah, like I didn't know anything, and so I was like, I'm so lost, and just like how patient my publishing team was with me, because I would email them and be like, I have no idea what this means. Like, what's that? I didn't know what the National Book Award was until I got longlisted for it. Like, that's how much I'm just a guy that kind of like, so it makes just such a big difference.
It makes such a big difference. And since I don't have to like worry about a lot of things that debut authors have to worry about, I'm like really, really trying to play it forward, you know, like I've already agreed to so many blurb requests, help me. And I'm just always like trying to boost and uplift, you know, voices on my, I was doing that before, to be perfectly honest with you, but like this is such a hard industry. And I think that having a really solid team is like a super privilege, and just being able to help other, you know, diverse authors is just, this is my dream come true. I'm sorry. Like,
we're almost at question time. Chloe, why don't you do number 11? I think that's a good one to end on. What do you think?
You guys have a shared doc of questions?
We do.
Look at it.
We do, actually. Okay. I'm going to do number 11, and then I'm going to merge it with something for us to finish off this section so we can go into audience questions. So, as a little fun question, can you assign a Taylor Swift album to each of your main characters in So Let Them Burn? And then a little add-on, tell us what you have coming next that people can look out for.
That's such a good point, Chloe. Thank you for
I got you.
So Faren is like living permanently in her Reputation era, you know, and it's absolutely in her her look what you made me do, her I did something bad, this is why we can't have nice things, like
she's so Reputation coded.
She's so Reputation. And then I feel like Alara, she kind of lives in like her folklore era, because she's a little bit more thoughtful, you know. she'd be a Champagne Problem, a Tis the Damn Season, and Evermore. Like, she's just a little bit more like reflective, which I think that Folklore is one of Taylor's most reflective albums. So I think that would be them. As for what I have coming up next in 2025, I'm making my debut in adult with a speculative dark academia called The Sinister Elite. You didn't know this, Aiden?
You said about this until just now.
Your face is amazing.
Frankly, I expected a text. Like, what's happening?
Sorry, it's coming up.
What is it? What's it called? What's it called?
The Sinister Elite. It is a speculative dark academia. It's coming out with source books in 2025, and it is about a 21-year-old Jamaican American girl who starts college as a freshman, and then she begins to, doubt her reality when she finds a tattoo on the back of her neck written in her own hand that just says "Remember," and I call it a mix.
I just got chills.
I was
chills
on my arm.
It's Ninth House meets The Conjuring meets Inception, and I'm really, really, really excited to share that with you guys. So I hope you'll follow me into adult.
I am very excited.
It's really nice that you write books specifically for me, and then you're like, I guess I'll share them with the greater world. That's really good, dude. That's great.
You wrote this. This is not yours. Although, Chloe, you did write this for me personally.
Are you sure Aiden didn't write it? Are we sure?
Chloe Gong wrote this for me personally. But yes, you wrote this for me personally. Where's book 2? Where's book 2?
I mean, I get to work on it. My voice is cracking. Celestial Monsters is going to copy edits Friday.
I'm
hopefully.
so excited for that.
And then I
hope you know.
Yeah, and then I get to start drafting Cemetery Boys sequel, so I'm really, really excited. I've got so many memes put into like an inspiration folder at this point.
Well, I can't wait to have them both on my shelf.
Yeah, but let's bring it in. Let's start doing the audience questions. Let's get it.
I have been sevens. All right. So I've been starring them as they've been coming in. So the first question is, if Faren and Alara got to isekai in Chloe's and Aiden's books, what would they do or how would they affect the main characters and vice versa?
Oh my God. Okay. I feel like if they were in Cemetery Boys, Alara would get along really well with Gadriel.
Absolutely.
They would be best friends and anxious together. And I feel that Julian and Faren would be making bad decisions.
They can never exist in the same.
They can never be in the same book. They really can't. And then if Faren and Alara were in Immortal Longings, they'd probably die.
I was just about to ask that because I have Immortal Longings and Aiden has Sunbearer Trials. How long do you think Alara and Faren would last in either of those games?
I honestly think they would both die because a big part of the game in Immortal Longings is that most people, except for Kaya and Anthony, are not working together. Kaya and Anton are not working together. They would not be able to leave each other's sides, which would make them super vulnerable and pick off super early. They might do better in the Sunbearer Trials because Alara is super charming and can make alliances.
If she even glanced in Nia's direction, you would be like, "Well, we gotta keep her alive." So,
at your service.
Yeah, so it's better, but the streets of your book are running with blood, Chloe, and I just really think that's not
okay.
Not the situation.
What if they brought a dragon?
Okay, they'd win. I don't think they'd win because I don't think that San-Er can there's no space for a dragon. It's
the dragon can fly above. San-Er can only go.
How is the dragon gonna find them to help when San-Er is
what if the dragon just burns the city down? Fire everywhere.
Yes, okay. So if they can just destroy both
it's perfect.
All right, someone write the AU.
This is gonna get on AO3 in about a week.
I encourage it. I want fan fiction.
Okay. Have you always been used to doing POV stories? If not, was it difficult to switch? How were you able to manage being in different heads?
Yeah, tell me, because I'm bad at it. I have to do it, so.
I have trouble writing stories that are only from one POV, to be totally honest with you. I love experiencing the same plot from different perspectives. And I love when those two perspectives are from people who are like, have such alternate or like parallel views of the situation. So you get like a more comprehensive picture. So it was really easy for me, honestly. But Chloe, how did you juggle, Romeo and Juliet?
I'm the same as you. I actually really struggle to write from one POV because I'm very tempted to try go into another person's perspective to flesh out that world. Like I really admire like first person POV writers that make you feel like you see that whole world just from one person's eyes, because I really think that's a skill thing and I just can't do it. I need to go lend like someone else's eyes.
Yeah, it's hard. Like we haven't brought it up yet, but high fantasy is really hard. Like creating a world where you're like, it's so hard. What are we doing? Why?
Yeah. Sometimes when I want to like cheat a little, I go like into the omniscient view. I'm like, you know what? I'm just doing it.
Don't worry about it, but we're back here a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, you know what? You want to see the street? We're God now. We're looking everywhere.
No, but you have like these amazing like bird's eye view chapters in both Immortal Longings and in the Secret Shanghai series where you kind of personify the city itself to tell us something that's going on that the main characters don't know yet. And I just
very good at that.
So good.
Why I do that? Because I don't know how to do it from the main character's eyes.
Well, it works. We wouldn't have known if you hadn't said that.
It's okay, it's just our secret. It's fine.
Yeah. Just us and the besties watching.
Yeah.
Okay. If you got to expand the world of So Let Them Burn to include other creatures, what would they be?
Oh my God, what a good question.
So it'd be a phoenix. And I'll tell you why it will be a phoenix. Because one of my favorite not dragon books is Crown of Feathers by Nikki Palprito, which is literally just a dragon book, but they're phoenixes. Like you bond and ride a phoenix. It is so cool. It is a trilogy. It's amazing. I have
sorry, I just like have my good
Crown of Feathers. It's also a webtoon right now if you prefer a more visual format.
I do like
but I'm a really huge fan of those books. So I think if I was going to broaden the world, it would still be fire creatures and it would be phoenixes, like massive phoenixes that you could ride. I don't know, I love fire mythology, I guess.
It's fun.
I'm just adding to Aiden's TBR during this.
Don't worry.
Like, BRB, let me pull up my story graph.
You need to figure out what's next.
Okay. Do you have a writing playlist that you listen to when writing? And if so, what is it filled with?
Ooh,
that was a sneak question. That was on our shared doc that we didn't get to.
Yeah, we already came up with that question, actually.
Yeah.
So,
do you want to answer first? Do you, Chloe? I just found out that you have playlists like a year ago. So
I like how you said you just found out a year ago.
Listen, we're only 17 days into the new year.
Okay. You're so okay.
Yeah.
I'll give you that. Very fair. I have writing playlists. I am that weird person that I have to listen to like blasting music with lyrics while I write. I think a lot of people are like, that's weird because how do you concentrate? But I feel like the part of the brain that takes in the music and the part of the brain thinking of the words are different parts. Like usually I actually don't listen to music and read at the same time, but I want to listen when I write.
Yeah, I'm the same way, which is so funny because I feel like whenever I'm talking to someone, they're like, oh no lyrics. I like having lyrics. I like it pretty loud. And what's really helpful with music is that music releases, makes you feel emotions and, releases chemicals and stuff. And when I'm trying to like put that into a book, it's really, that's what I want. I am not a crier, like point blank period. I do not cry. But
can you teach us how to do that?
Do we need to talk about this?
The movie, let's not. No, it's fine. I'm just heavily medicated. It's not a big deal. But I have the vinyl soundtrack, which I spent hundreds of dollars on. The Japanese vinyl soundtrack to Your Name, which is I love that movie and I love the soundtrack, and I will just listen to that vinyl over and over again, and it like that movie just ruins my life. One of the first dates that me and my boyfriend had, I was like, I'm gonna make you watch this movie, that means a lot to me. And like I went and I was making popcorn, he was on the couch, I pushed play on the movie or whatever, and I was like, okay, just so you know, as I'm like shaking the popcorn, I get a little emotional like when this movie comes on. And as I'm saying that, the opening song starts, and I just start crying. Are you okay? And I was like,
wow.
How to make the song end?
Have a weird reaction. I get that way about Encanto. Like as soon as she starts singing, Welcome to the Family Madrigal, I remember the ending scene, and I'm just like,
waiting on a miracle? Are you kidding me? I sob every time.
So moving on. I have playlists for all of my stories. They're all on my public Spotify platform, and I listen to music like basically anytime I go anywhere, like and all day. I listen to music all day while I'm working because I work from home. And when I find a song that reminds me of a character or a scene, I'll add it to the playlist so that when I'm writing later, like it just immediately transports me into the mood of the book. Like I really need those lyrics. I need those like songs, and then it helps me brainstorm when I'm going to other places. I can put the playlist on and be right in the zone of the book and just like think about it. So yeah, I need the music and I also need the lyrics.
Yeah.
Look
at us.
Yeah.
Oh,
like this is the first time I've ever had like a whole band of people who are like, we need lyrics.
Yeah.
Okay. As a person of color, did you face any discrimination towards you or your book during the querying/publishing process?
Always a big
heavy
question.
question.
Very insightful.
Everybody take a drink.
I had two before this panel.
I think I got lucky in that regard because the agent that I ended up with is a Black woman, and the reason that I chose her out of all the agents who offered on is because she just had like this innate understanding from being a Black woman of the world building elements of my story that I had to explain to the other agents on the call. And I really love that. And then we again lucked out in that my editor is also a Black woman who helped me really, really pull out the elements of my story that I really wanted to emphasize. So as far as the querying and editing journey, I got the trifecta, man. This question's not for me. I'll go.
You're like, not my problem.
Like institutional racism.
Speaking of world building, how did you put together the visuals or aesthetic setting points of your book?
I'm gonna be honest, that's just my house. Dead Egg. Dead Egg is Old Harbor in Jamaica, which is where I was raised with my grandma. Port Soul is just Kingston, which is on the water and has the airport and like really beautiful like manor house. I didn't world build anything. I just it's like,
that is still world building. You give yourself more credit there, okay?
So yeah, it was really easy because I just went back to my childhood and stuff. So yeah, what about you guys?
Wait, did you get any say with the map? Because you have a gorgeous map.
Oh yeah, you got a killer map.
So this is something very funny.
Yay!
And y'all cannot bring this out of this live, you and all three of the people who are here. So they had me draw the map, right? And they made the map, and it is a gorgeous map, but no one has noticed yet that if you take my map and you turn it this way, that is just the United States.
Oh my God.
I'm screaming.
No, other way, upside down. It's upside down. Yes, now hold it up. That's Florida right there, and those are the Virgin Islands.
Okay. To be very fair, a lot of countries have the same shape.
But also, it looks like
It's from one big giant mass.
It's just the United States. I literally took a map of the United States and I went,
oh my God.
Okay, I do that all the time. Don't you worry. A lot of my countries are also traces of other countries. Don't you worry.
My brain feels bananas right now.
I'm not proud of that. I gotta be honest with you. Like, no one figured it out. I assumed at some point in the process that somebody would be like, Kamilah, question. No one did. So yeah, that's how we did that. Yeah. Don't be telling people.
Yeah, it's a secret.
It's a secret between us and
in the audience is blasting that online.
literally. They're tweeting it right now.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Ooh, okay. If So Let Them Burn became a level with Sora, Donald, and Goofy from Kingdom Hearts, who would he meet first, Alara or Faren, and what would the Heartless look like?
This is the best question that's ever been asked ever.
I'm like really excited. I'm like literally looking at my Kingdom Hearts coaster right now. So I think that they would meet Alara first, because Alara spends a lot of her time looking for Faren. Because Faren promises that she will like go do one thing, and then she goes and challenges people to races instead. So
like, I'm gonna go sleep in my own bed.
Out of this house. What are you talking about? So they would meet Alara, and the first quest would be to help Alara find Faren. And I think that their Heartless would look like little dragons. At the end of Kingdom Hearts 2, there is a sequence when Riku and Sora, boyfriends, are on a flying.
No, I get it.
Yes.
Dragons.
Oh my God.
Yes. Heartless would look like that. Like, that is what I am completely visualizing.
Kind of bony, but like
Yes. Kind of
Yeah,
bony,
that's
but
cool.
still pretty terrifying. And it would like the big boss would be that. So
Exactly.
yes, that's what I'm thinking. Riku and Sora are boyfriends. Saying it again.
You know, obviously.
Yeah.
Goes without saying.
Also, this is another fun question. As a notable Once Upon a Time fan, Kamilah, which half season most matches So Let Them Burn's energy?
These are specific questions.
You people have been on my Twitter like
Yeah.
They know you.
Data fishing on you. Like,
You're like, I'm gonna get the deep cuts. You know?
I'm so called out right now. I think the season that most matches So Let Them Burn's energy is probably the first half of season 2. That is before Hook shows up, but after the curse has been broken. So all the fairy tale people remember who they are, and they don't know like who they want to be because they remember their cursed personality and they remember their fairy tale personality. And also for some reason, the enchanted forest still exists, and Emma and Snow White end up back there. Basically, it was a chaotic mess as the show tried to figure out a new identity. And So Let Them Burn is nothing if not a chaotic mess. So
I wouldn't say that. I would say like more, you know, post big crazy thing and like more.
I mean, I would love for it to be like the Neverland era, because the first kiss between Emma and Hook, I want to write a romance that feels like that scene, because it was amazing. Go watch it on YouTube. But I just don't think I'm there yet. Maybe for the adult book, but not there.
We'll be looking.
Yeah. Now we're really paying attention.
Okay, and then we'll wrap it up with one more question. What books are y'all excited about coming out in the next year from any author?
Oh my God, the moment I hear this question, I'm like, oh my God.
Oh my God, hold on. Look at my heart.
I can't read.
I need to pull open the list of books I blurbed. Give me a second.
Okay, wait. We Shall Be Monsters Tara Sim. Tara Sim is one of my favorite authors.
Bestie, that's Rob list.
I have been riding with Tara Sim since Timekeeper. I love her. Off with Their Heads by Zoe Hanamakuta.
I love that book.
Yes.
It feels so different to everything that is
It's
currently
so,
out.
It's so like very Alice in Wonderland while also
It
like
it captures the heart of it. It really does.
I'm really like, you guys should check that out. For debut authors, The Sins on Their Bones by Laura R. Samotin. It's a Jewish mythology based fantasy about these two estranged husbands who are on opposite sides of a war, and the spy master who's caught between them. And it's pretty sexy, guys, but also deals with trauma. I'm trying to think.
I recently read Darker by 4.
Lucky.
Super good. Like, I love, like, it's inspired by, let me just read it. Sweeping contemporary fantasy duology that is the Shadowhunter Chronicles meets the Chinese underworld, drawing inspiration from diaspora folklore, a vengeful girl, a hollow boy, and a missing god. It's so good. I love gods, and like, I mean, obviously I like
I get so mad when books are like on my TBR, and I'm like, I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I'm really excited for This Is Me Trying by Raquel Marie. I actually have illegally. I just haven't read it yet, so I'm really excited for that.
Oh my god, that's such a good one.
Also, everyone needs to keep their eye out for. I have to look at the title because I always forget it. Because it's really, oh no, I didn't write the full title down. True Love and Other Impossible Odds, I think.
By Christina Lee.
Okay, by Christina. Obviously, by Christina.
Yeah.
I was going to get there, Camilla.
That's my wife, you guys.
So good. It feels like an A24 movie, like just the amount of like energy, like the emotional resonance in it. There's this one scene like where I had to put the book down and I was like, I can see it like in my head and I feel things because I can see it and feel what she's feeling. It's about a girl in college who invents this like algorithm to pair you to your like soulmate, and while everyone's getting paired, she's having her like gay awakening crisis, and it's beautiful.
It's so good.
Yeah.
I also want to add, while we're talking about Christina, I just read she also has an adult debut coming out, The Manor of Dreams. It is gorgeous. It is Starling House meets like the works of R.F. Kuang, because it really studies like the Chinese American experience, and it's sapphic, and it's about this like haunted sentient house. It's like, I don't know. I call it like kind of like cottagecore horror, because the house has these memories. It goes through 4 generations of a Chinese American family. I just finished it, and it was like pre-edit. So this is like the worst version of the story, and it was the best thing.
That's about Christina. Her writing will slap the moment she puts it onto page.
I know. I was crying.
I'm like, let me eat this. Let me.
I know. She's like, I haven't edited it. It's so bad. I was crying as soon as I got to the end of the book. Like, it comes out, I don't know when it comes out, but guys, you need to have The Manor of Dreams on your radar. Christina Lee.
This fall.
Yes, this fall. It comes out this fall. Christina Lee also has like 2 middle grade out already. She is literally one of my favorite writers.
Christina's second middle grade, Ruby Lost and Found, was my favorite read last year. It's so good.
Again, that's my wife.
Well, listen, you guys, you can pre-order them from a specific independent bookstore.
So true.
You can also purchase copies of So Like a Bird at the Novel Neighbor. You can also get Chloe and Aiden's books at the Novel Neighbor.
You should.
And I think we're very cool.
I also think that. I agree.
I think that too.
Thank you so much. Completely not biased. I know. Let's all like raise our bucks for like a cute.
Wait.
Moment. Go get
it. Are you running to the little man on your clothes that you're wearing?
I beheaded the little man.
Thanks so much for tuning in tonight. Congratulations, Camilla, for your book, baby. And thank you so much, Chloe and Aiden, for joining. Bye.
Bye.